nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
What is up, Man Hour Nation? The After Hours show is here. The only truly place where you get live, raw, uncut sports talk each and every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I want to welcome you guys to today's show, today's after show. And if you want to jump on, if you want to talk your shit, there's a link right there. Click on that link and you can come in and you can talk your stuff. You can talk what you want to talk about because I am giving the floor, giving you guys an opportunity to talk about anything and everything that you could possibly want to talk about. So with that being said, my man Hoffy is supposed to be joining us, but you know what? He's always late. Hoffy's like 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock? I'll be there when I get there, big boy. But anyways, guys, we are going to talk about anything and everything that you guys want to talk about. Man, I need some music to get the show started. Yeah, so I got my Cheesehead koozie. We've gotten some bad news across the Man Hour Nation today, but you know what? It is what it is. And I want to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. That's right. America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. They have officially traded for Trey Lance. Now, this was a trade that I was like, wait a second. What? Like, what? I was not expecting this at all. And if you say that you were expecting it, you are full of shit. And Hoffy, speaking of full of shit, this man, like, when we welcome to the show, Hoffy, first things first, like, I didn't mean to just like come at you like that right off the bat, but fuck it. Listen, man. What do you think about this Trey Lance trade to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th round pick?
I mean, I think it's a steal as far as a 4th round pick for a potential, franchise quarterback. But to me, that means the writing is on the wall. And this is Dak's last year if he doesn't get benched before the end of the season, too.
Oh, holy shit. Get your Get your AirPods all figured out there. But we know damn well that Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. This man is arguably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But let's not forget about the other quarterbacks that the Dallas Cowboys have on their roster. They still have my man Cooper freaking Rush. That's right. The redheaded ginger himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Cooper Rush. Then they got Will Gear as well. Will Gear as well, my man. Like, come on. Trey Lance is not going to be backup quarterback anytime soon in Dallas. And I already got Jim saying, ain't no way Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. Tell me why. Tell me why Dak Prescott cannot be a top 10 quarterback or is not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Hoffy, like, are there any indications of you that could possibly think of why Dak Prescott is not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, he turns the ball over too much.
Oh, 15 times. Wow. How about Jameis Winston? 30-plus interceptions, and the man still got a job.
Yeah, but we're talking the NFL's, we're talking professionals' opinions as to top 10 quarterbacks. We're not talking Brandon Combs' top 10 fucking quarterbacks here. All right? Nobody's got Jameis Winston as a top 10 quarterback other than BC Combs, and his opinion is fucking absolute shit.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, my man BC had Jameis Winston as a top 10 quarterback. I actually, if I could find that clip, I'm going to post it. It was about this time last season, Hoffy. Like, hey, if Jameis Winston gets in with the Saints, they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to win the Super Bowl. Shut up, man. Shut up time. Said you have a better time if you muted the Chargers. Man, Jim Powell is like, him. So Jim is a Raiders fan, and David, what's up, David, is a Chargers fan, and they go head to head, and I absolutely love it. I love it when you guys are talking that shit up there. He says, I'm watching my team, Chargers. I will kind of have you muted. Listen, man, you don't worry about having us muted, man, as long as you are liking the page, sharing this, and, you know, this is probably the only win you guys are going to get all season long till about week 9, so enjoy it. So definitely do what you can. But David wants to come out with this fire. David says, Buck, Trey Lance come in and beat the 49ers in the playoffs. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't if let's say Dak Prescott got hurt in the playoffs, right? Dak Prescott goes down in the second quarter. Cooper Rush goes down like the following play. In comes my man, Trey Lance, leading the Cowboys back from like 6 points down and beating the San Francisco 49ers. Wouldn't that be the ultimate smack in the face? The only thing ultimate smack in the face bigger than that is if Jim Powell's Las Vegas Raiders and Jimmy G beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. So can we all let's kind of get a consensus here. Are we 49ers fans or are we Cowboys fans or Raiders fans? Just because this year I'm going to be rooting hard for the Cowboys. I'm going to be rooting hard for the Raiders to beat the 49ers. Because it would just be a match made in heaven, Javi, if Jimmy G or Trey Lance could knock the 49ers out of the playoff. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I don't think that the Cowboys, I mean, I do think that the Eagles would take a step back, but I don't think it's going to be enough of a step back that the Cowboys are going to win the division. And I mean, we could see them as a wild card spot, and they probably would end up playing the 49ers to start. And I mean, they do have some talented receivers there. Pollard's a pretty solid running back, but that's a tough ask, you know. But I would like to see it. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'd say I'm more of a 49ers fan than anything, but I wouldn't mind to see a little little drama there and see the Cowboys knock them off in the playoffs with Trey Lance.
Yeah, so clearly you did not watch the morning show there, Hoffy, because I said,
oh no, I was still drunk from last night.
I said, I cannot believe I'm repeating this, but I said that the New York Giants are the best team in the NFC East. I said that the NFC East goes through New York. I said the NFC North or the East playoff championship is going to go through New York. So to say that the Eagles will take a step back, facts. They will take a step back. Super Bowl hangover is real. Sorry, all you Eagles fans out there, but it is what it is. You guys are trash. Face it. I don't care if you had the deepest running back class ever and Jalen Hurts and whatever. They made rules so you guys literally cannot win games. RPO game is gone. See you later, alligator. Dallas Cowboys will still be a 10-11-1 team. But the thoughts of the New York Giants being good is just mind-boggling to me, to be honest. But I think right now, Hoffy, I think that the New York Football Giants might be one of the best teams in the NFC right now with the trade of Isaiah Simmons. They got Thibodeau still. They got Hodgins. They got Pittman, who was the receiver that they got from the Colts. The name's still in my mind right now, but they are loaded, to be honest. Any thoughts on that? You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I finally got my AirPods working. I'm ready to rock and roll now. I mean, I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, I think the Giants are gonna make some noise. I really think Brian Daboll in that system, really clicked last year, and I mean, they've had a full season to work together. So I really think, I'm high up on Brian Daboll. So, and hey, there's talks of Gronkowski. If he's to come out of retirement, there's only one he wants to play for. We all know it ain't going to happen, but
okay.
Him and Waller together, though.
Gronk is more injury prone than Trey Lance is. Let's just be honest. When's the last time Gronk has played a full season and hasn't gotten hurt? But whatever. But
you only need him to come in 5 or 10 snaps a game when you got Waller. Save him for the playoffs and ride that train, baby.
Whatever. That'd be so dumb. So dumb. But David says, I would make a goal line package for Trey Lance against the 49ers. Well, first things first, David, we are kind of counting the chickens before the eggs hatch, right? We are kind of on this boat thinking that the Cowboys the Cowboys are going to be there. We're kind of thinking that the 49ers are going to be there. Let's just be honest. Flashback a couple years ago, start of training camp 2022, Hoffy. Trey Lance was the guy. Trey Lance was the future of San Francisco. He beat out Brock Purdy. They made Jimmy G go stand in the corner, go play with himself, take his balls and go somewhere else, right? Trey Lance was the guy. Now you're banking on a 175th pick or whatever, 200, the very last pick of the NFL draft, and Sam Darnold. Yes, Sam Darnold has had a very good draft. I will give you that. Great, or not a draft, but off-season. Great off-season. But isn't he on his third team in 3 years? There's a reason for that.
Yeah, but I mean, he was drafted by the Jets, and what have the Jets done since in the last 20 years? You know,
they
let's
brought
be honest.
Aaron Rodgers in, baby. What else do you need?
Yeah, but we're yet to find out. That is the ugliest fucking beer mug I've ever seen.
It's a cheesehead koozie, man.
Jesus Christ. Did you get it from Wyatt?
No, I 2 years ago, Cindy and I went to the Packers-Lions opening weekend Monday night game. Listen,
talk about bandweather fan.
You
got the Cowboys, Packers, Chiefs. Who else's train you going to jump on?
This year the Carolina Panthers. I love me some Carolina Panthers. I'm jumping on that bandwagon. But no, seriously, if you want a great atmosphere, Lambeau Field was amazing. Green Bay, Wisconsin was freaking amazing. It was just great times. But guys, if you want to talk about anything in this after show here, there is a link that I pinned to the descriptions here. It's a StreamYard link. Click on that link, jump on. I know all you keyboard warriors are out there saying, oh, he's talking that shit, calling me a fat ginger. Like, Hoffy, am I fat? Like,
compared to me, or?
Well, compared to you, everybody's fat, little skinny bastard. But I'm not fat. I'm not even big boned. Like, what the fuck? Like, damn. Hoffy, I'm 6'3", 230. Is that fat?
No. I'm 5'9", 180, so
with
you
your
only got 40 pounds on me.
I love it. So Brian Birch is in the chat here. He says Brandon Marshall. You want to talk about Brandon Marshall? With like the receiver Brandon Marshall or the linebacker Brandon Marshall? What Brandon Marshall you want to talk about? Jim says 230. Yeah, Jim, I am 230. So when I married my wife, I was a brick shithouse. Of course, 7 years have gone by, and you guys know how marriage goes. Muscle turns to a little bit of belly fat. But yeah, I'm 6'3", 230, man. And I can still run a 4.7-ish 40-yard dash. I'm still somewhat fast. Not as fat as Hoffy. Middle's open, right, Hoffy? Tell the people about your softball game. What did you do last night, Hoffy?
I let off the game with the first pitch home run. Then the second at bat, I nearly killed the pitcher. And
donkey, he said, no, come on, Hoffy, give us some enthusiasm. Hoffy was up in the count 2-1. This guy throws about a 40-mile-an-hour slow pitch softball on the outside corner. Hoffy gets his hips under it, and he pokes it into left center field. This thing was a swamp doggy. You know when you hit those balls, like, damn, that motherfucker's gone. Like,
I stood there, dropped to a knee, shot it out of the sky, bat flipped it, started running around third base, and the third baseman starts giving me shit for bat flipping. I said, you hit a home run, I'll let you bat flip it. And all he did was ground out to me at third base every night. I think he was trying to drive it down my throat, but pretty sure my 9-year-olds hit harder than him.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to.
But yeah, then my next at bat, I nearly killed their pitcher with a shot right back up the middle. So after that, they hit me in the fucking shoulder every time. They wouldn't let me swing a bat.
Yeah, fucking pussies. But
that's what I said.
David says my Chargers stopped the touchdown, fumble recovery. So Hoffy, on Monday we talked a little bit about the Chargers. I said the Chargers are probably a coach away. I do like their roster. I like what they have. They could be. The Chargers are one of the teams that have the highest ceiling and the lowest floor. What are your thoughts about the Chargers? Like, are a Chargers a team you can get behind this season?
I can absolutely get behind the team, but I can't get behind the fucking coach deciding to go for it on 4th and 10 from his own 20-yard line.
Right. Brandon Staley, right?
Yeah.
And now they got Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator because that's going to fix everything.
Yeah. So
Zeke at center. Okay, my bad.
You got an unbelievable roster there. Defense, offensive side of the ball, both. But yeah, how far are those coaches going to allow that team to go?
I am going to say 7-10 season. Now, I will be breaking it down next week, but off the top of my head right now, seeing what I've been seeing with the whole Austin Eckler situation, I'm watching the game right now. That just the team doesn't look very, I don't know, coordinated. Is that the word? They just don't look like they're having fun.
Yeah. And the health of Keenan Allen is always a huge if. The guy's a stud when he's on the field, but what's he on the field 50% of the time? So, they're going to have to stay healthy, and we know in the NFL these days that's just highly unlikely. But, I love me some Herbert.
Oh,
but he's also in the same division as the Chiefs. So,
yeah. As Jim says, let's hear all about Mahomes 2.0 now, or Sherbert, or however you say his name. Listen, I am a Chiefs fan. Obviously, I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan as well. As I open up this under Bud Light. Yes, I am drinking Bud Light. Yes, I did grow a vagina overnight. I don't give a fuck. Suck my dick about it. But with that being said, Justin Herbert can win a MVP, Hoffy. Justin Herbert can legitimately lead a team to a deep run in the playoffs. Exactly what you said. Their coaching staff is the one holding them back. Brandon Staley, 4th and 10 on their own 20, giving up a 28-point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars that had to win a Week 18 game versus the Tennessee Titans team game that hadn't won a team in like a game in 8 weeks, playing with their 3rd-string quarterback, and they barely beat them. So what does that tell you about that coaching staff? What does that tell you about the team? Now, if Justin Herbert is on any other team, I'm seriously, any other team, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, you can put him on the Giants, you can put him on, who was one of the worst teams in the NFL? The Houston Texans. We are talking about this guy being a unanimous top 10 quarterback. Yes, he is a top 10 quarterback right now, but there's always that asterisk by his name. There's always that what if. Now, let me ask your opinion, Hafi. Now, I am kind of putting out some bold statements there, but I am standing behind it. I do think that Herbert on any other team is a top 10 quarterback. Seriously, any other team, Houston, Arizona, Detroit, Minnesota, any other team, he's a top 10 quarterback. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge Oregon Ducks fan, and when's the last time an Oregon Duck player panned out? So I was hesitant on him, but he's done nothing but ball out.
Yeah, and honestly, his first year in the league, he wouldn't have even played, which I think it would have been a lot of beneficial for him, but Tyrod Taylor's lung got punctured by his mom's nurse or something crazy, and like 10 minutes before the game, like, Herbert, I guess you're playing, bud. Good luck. It's just, he says, begging for a tie. Don't speak well to me. Oh, I believe he's referring to the Raiders, right? So if the Chargers and Raiders would have tied, do you remember that playoff scenario? Like, I believe it was the Raiders and Chargers, and the winner would get into the playoffs, and if they both tied, they would both be in the playoffs. Is that sounding familiar? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Jim, I agree with you on this. I do agree with you on this. Any team, any coach that says, hey, man, let's just call it a gentleman's handshake and we both can worry about the playoffs. Man, you want to F your rival up. Don't you, Huffy? I don't care. We could be best friends, but damn it, once we step between those lines, I am taking your head off. I am taking your girl and I'm going to fuck your mom. Like that is what it is, man. Sorry guys, I've been having way too much beer tonight. I'm fired. I've had a long day, but yeah, that tie, Brandon Staley, you should have been fired for that instantly. Joe Stevens is in the chat. He says, "Go Hawks." Joe, if you want to jump on tonight, man, the link is right there. I pinned it to the top of the chat. Click that link. We'll bring you on. We'll talk some of your Seahawks. I want to talk a little about how you say his name, Jackson Smith Nabigba.
Yeah, good luck with that.
That man's out for 4 to 7 weeks. Sorry, 4 to 6 weeks with wrist surgery. I guess it was a little bit too much jacking off. I guess I don't know. He says I'm actually on another show right now. So you're on another show, but you're talking shit on our show. Okay, man. Whatever. When you are ready to come over to the dark side, come over to Man Hour Nation there, Joe. The door is open, my man. The door is open. Hoffy, what do you want to talk about?
You said you're loving yourself some Carolina Panthers.
I am.
Bryce Young really struggled in that first game. I think the second game he had a bounce back game, did all right. What, he got 1 touchdown? And today, what was he? 7 of 12, 73 yards for a 103.8 rating. Do you think that is going to continue throughout the regular season? I mean, obviously he's going to have some bad games. That comes with a rookie. But how do you think he's going to fare this year with the Panthers?
So Bryce Young is not going to be the end all be all for the Carolina Panthers. I think as their who is their coach again? I can't remember his name. But I think their coach is going to be smart enough to use Miles Sanders, to use Chubba Hubbard. They are going to run the ball a lot this season. And this preseason, I think they were just testing the limits, testing the arm ability, the reading capabilities of Bryce Young. Yes, they do have Adam Thielen, and they have Hayden Hurst, and they have DJ Clark. None of those receivers really are going to blow it off the map, right? Adam Thielen might have 1,000 yards. The rest of them are going to be about 700-800 yards tops, right? They're going to be a very run-centric offense with Miles Sanders and Chubba Hubbard. Is that how you say his name? Chubba Hubbard?
Yeah.
But
you got Frank Wright as their coach is the name you're looking for.
Yeah, Frank Wright. But yeah, I think Bryce Young, they're going to run a lot of options, almost like speed options, and I think that is where they're going to excel. The excelment for the Carolina Panthers is going to be through the running game. That's why I do like them.
Yeah, I think they'll have a decent. I think this season is a good building season. I think next year I think what they really lack is a true number one wide receiver that can open up, stretch the field, because you have Adam Thielen in the slot. But, I mean, you can always drop a linebacker down there to help your slot cornerback. So I think he's easily, someone that you can lock up when you don't have a guy that can stretch the field, and, get the ball over the top. So I think that's, the one thing that's going to hurt them this year. But I'm excited to see Bryce Young and what those Panthers do with the this year.
And I'm glad you brought up the number one receiver thing there, is because we've been worried a lot about running backs, right? You had Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook and Zeke, and all those guys were free agencies, but there are a lot of good name receivers out there that are still free agents. Kenny Galladay comes to choice here, right? He was with the Detroit Lions and then with the Giants, and now he's a free agent still. Kenny Galladay, given him the right opportunity, I think he could be a great fit in Carolina. Excuse me. Also, Sammy Watkins is still out there, along with Jarvis Landry. They've been number one receivers on the respective teams. Obviously, Sammy Watkins was in Buffalo, and then he was kind of like an outcast in Chiefs and then the Baltimore Ravens. But Jarvis Landry last year with the New Orleans Saints quietly kind of had a really decent season. I would not be surprised if they don't make a play for a Kenny Galladay, a Jarvis Landry, or how about this, a T.Y. Hilton even.
Yeah, I like all of those options. In fact, if you could bring two of them in, if you could bring in, a Landry and a Galladay to go with Thielen, I think that, especially when you have a rookie quarterback, give him some weapons,
veteran weapons on top of that.
Yeah, veteran weapons that can as well kind of teach him the tricks of the trades and kind of, help him progress, little faster than what, he might progress, not having those, especially when you got Frank Wright. He's a great offensive minded, coach. So
Right.
yeah, I think he could, make we saw Kenny Golladay, he got paid with the Giants and, they didn't use him correctly, but I think he would be used correctly with someone like Frank Wright.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, I believe Tuesday is when the rosters get locked, right? And right now, this is week 3 of the NFL preseason. They are going to be cutting down from 90 plus players to 53. There are going to be a lot of good players being cut from teams. There's a lot of wide receiver depth out there. The Broncos are looking for some wide receiver depth with Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick both going down the last few weeks. And then it will be surprising what kind of transactions happen Monday into Tuesday into Wednesday night there. Jim says, I'm from Pittsburgh, and I like to see them do well, just not against us. Is Pickett the guy? I mean, really, the guy. Listen, Jim, watch the game last night. Yes, if you watch the announcers, if you listening to the announcers, they were all saying the Atlanta Falcons, they're playing against our second or third stringers, yada, yada, yada. Watch that very first drive. I believe it was the pass, 4th or 5th play of the game. Kenny Pickett throws a dot. I mean, you put it in his bread basket of George Pickens. That was a man's throw. What we don't realize, what we don't understand about Kenny Pickett is he didn't become a starter until week 7 last year, right? He was the backup to Mitchell Trubisky. He went 2-6 his first 8 starts, and then he won his last 6. Right? He is. I think he is that guy. Watch the Atlanta Falcons game last night. 5 drives, 5 touchdowns. The Pittsburgh Steelers are that team, but you also have to realize that Kenny Pickett doesn't have to be that guy. They have a great defense. They have a good running game. They have a really, really good receiver core. And a coach has never had a losing season, Hafi.
Yeah. I mean, they won their last 4 games of, to end last year to give themselves that winning record. And like you said, he came in towards the end and, we're talking the Bengals. I know you're not a fan of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and he was hurt for a good amount of that year, but you got the Bengals, the Ravens, even the Browns in that division. And yet they were still able to, squeak out a, winning season when they start. What were they, like 2-6 or something at one point to start? So yeah, the fact that team was, rookie wide receiver, rookie, quarterback, and you were still able to, and Watt was injured, I think, for a good portion of the year too.
So he was out the last 8 weeks, right?
Yeah. So, and you're able to get have a winning season. I think that, Pickett proved that he's absolutely going to be, the quarterback of the future for Pittsburgh. Definitely. I mean, I think he's, right there with Big Ben, and we saw what he meant to that franchise. So I think he should be really solid for that team.
Well, and you have to realize that, like I said, last year, his rookie year, he was going to be a backup all season long. Mitchell Trubisky just shit the bed, right? He just shit the bed, and they weren't very good the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season. Kenny Pickett comes in, and that team just had a little spark to it. Had a little pep in the step. And all offseason, all OTAs, all preseason, I've seen the Steelers kind of have this swag back, right? Kind of have like, hey, our division, our time, don't sleep on us. And it would not shock me one bit, Hafi, if the Steelers win that AFC North. Like, seriously, dethrone the Bengals, better than the Ravens, better than Browns. It would not shock me one bit. Who do you have?
I could see him beat. I mean, that's a tough ask on the Bengals. Definitely, I could see them definitely finishing, in the second spot. I could see them finishing with a wild card spot too. But I mean, the AFC is absolutely loaded. I think there's 12 to 10 teams that could, surprise you and be fighting for one of those last spots. And I definitely think the Steelers will be one of them, especially if, Pickett and his number one wide receiver continue to build. And then, Watt can stay healthy. They got a pretty good, it's the Steelers. They always have a good defense. So,
Yep.
and a great coach. So I absolutely think that, it's going to be tough ask with the Bengals. I know the Bengals got a really tough schedule. But it's Joe Burrow. It's ice cold Joe Burrow.
But he will also probably miss week 1, if not week 2 as well, with that calf strain. And when we look at the AFC East, the North, and the West, literally every team from those divisions have playoff chances. If you tell me any of those teams are going to make the playoffs, I would not bat an eye about it one bit. The AFC is definitely loaded, and then it falls off the bottom. But then Jim's like, Big Ben? Really? You're comparing Kenny Pickett to Big Ben? I can see it, because let's look at Big Ben's first couple years in the NFL. What was he required to do? Turn around and hand the ball off and let the defense win you a championship. That's all Kenny Pickett's got to really do. Turn around, hand the ball to Najee Harris, and let your defense win you a championship. It just happens that they have George Pickens, probably a top 10 receiver in the NFL. He has a lot of upside to him still. Who is that other receiver that they have, Hoffy, that people are ranting and raving about? You guys have to understand that the Steelers are loaded. There are teams out there that we don't talk about enough, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of them. I'm pulling up the depth chart right now, and Deontay Johnson is the receiver that I'm referring to. We give George Pickens all this credit, but technically George Pickens is number 2 on their depth chart. Deontay Johnson is number 1. They still have Miles Boykin. I've even forgot about Miles Boykin.
Yeah.
And Allen Robinson II. Yes, Allen Robinson II may be on the downside of his career, but he's been there. He's done that. Guys, look out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. As a Chiefs fan, I don't want to play them in the playoffs. Hoffy, as a Patriots fan, do you want to play the Steelers in the playoffs?
Nope.
Not at all.
No, they're a cold weather team, so they're able to travel and play wherever, whether it's indoors. No big deal. But someone like Kansas City gets them. That's they're not gonna be shell shocked by any means.
Right. So let me ask you a question, Hoffy. The New England Patriots added arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL, in Zeke Elliott. I do love me some Zeke. They have a pretty crowded running back room with Ty Montgomery and Stevenson, right? Do you think picking up Zeke was a waste?
I think him and Stevens can make a great 1-2 punch, but I feel like there was some other holes where that what was it, $6 million salary that he's that.
Right. Yep.
I feel, yes, I love me some Zeke. I think they make a great 1-2 punch. I don't know if he was worth that $6 million when we have other holes. I do like it to lessen the load on Stevens, but I feel like this.
Are you referring to? Because I think as far as receivers, you guys are pretty well set. Defense, you seem decent. Are you referring to the offensive line? Like, do you not have faith in the offensive line?
No, I think the offensive line will be good too. We our first pick from last year that everyone was like, "What the hell?" and he had a great year.
Strange, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. It was a little strange, as you said. And we still have our center that's been there forever, but we got a really solid cornerback out of the draft this year. But I would have liked to see Smith-Schuster is solid, but I would have liked to see an actual solid number 1 receiver guy. I do like the receiving core as a whole. I think they can make some noise, but I feel like, we lost McCourty,
Right.
I feel like we could, I don't think there's a whole lot out there that, especially right now, that you can go pick up. But, if for say there is a guy that's, part of the salary cuts Now we're going to be a little strapped on being able to make that move if that was something that, intrigued Bill Belichick.
Right, man. And when we historically think about the Patriots, we never think that they have a number one guy. I mean, in years past, what Randy Moss was really truly the only number one receiver that you guys had, and he was like well past his prime. Even though he had what was it, record touchdowns or something? I can't remember exactly what record he broke, but he was doing his thing. But Mac Jones is kind of that nickel and dime down the field type of guy anyways. So adding a person like Zeke, I don't think they added him for the running abilities. They added him for third down passing abilities because Zeke is an excellent blocking tailback. And that gives Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne time to double move down the field and possibly utilize Mac Jones' strong arm. Well, I guess people think he has a new arm. I think Mac Jones has a pretty strong arm. So
yeah, I think he can push it down the field pretty well.
Do you think so? When we think of off-season moves for the Patriots, we're going to wrap it up here soon. I'm not thinking players are best moves for the New England Patriots. One of the best moves was Bill O'Brien. You as a Patriots fan, you've seen them in person now. Is Bill O'Brien effect real? Are you buying the Bill O'Brien hype?
I mean, I would buy any hype over Matt Patricia, but I do think Bill O'Brien is going to put all of those players, offensive-minded coach, in the right scheme, right plays, and I think he is much like Bill Belichick in the ability to adapt to, other teams and play to their weaknesses. If they're playing against, let me say your Chiefs, for instance, and your boy's not there under center, Zeke and Stevens are going to have a day, and they're going to pound it up the middle. If they're going to play, Aaron Donald in the Rams, they're going to be throwing the ball. So they're absolutely going to be the chameleon offense. I think that they were in those successful, in that successful dynasty run when they had Tom Brady.
When you're referring to my boy, you're referring to Chris Jones, and he will be back, and he'll be just fine. Don't worry about us, Hoffy. You worry about your team. Keep my team's name out your mouth, boy.
Like I said, I sent you the fucking clown that needs his haircut, but he's absolutely right. Nick Wright, thank you. If he takes the first 8 weeks off, you really don't have any. I think all of your divisional games are home. I mean, let him come in on week 9. I don't think it's going to take much for him to gel, and he's been there, done that. I think that it's only going to benefit him as well as the Chiefs. So we shall see.
So if you guys are confused of what we're talking about, Chris Jones says that he is prepared to sit out 8 weeks, right? He will roughly get fined $1 million a week by not playing. And he said, and I quote, "Don't worry about it. I can afford it." But Nick Wright went on his show on FS1. I can't even think of the name of the show. Nick Wright Talk or something like that. But he's like, look at the Chiefs' first 8 weeks games here. The Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars, Chicago Bears, Jets, Vikings, Broncos, Chargers. They don't need them. Which is somewhat true. I would like to have a pass rush versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would like to have a pass rush versus the Minnesota Vikings, but the rest of the teams, whatever. You guys do you. Now, the gauntlet of the season comes later. Got the Dolphins, Eagles, Raiders, Packers, Bills, Patriots, Raiders, Bengals, Chargers. That's going to be tough, but we'll worry about that later. Hoffy, that is it for the after show tonight, guys. Every Tuesday and Friday, me and Hoffy are going to be drinking some Bud Light, putting the penises in our buttholes, and calling it a day. Any closing thoughts, Hoffy?
No, not after that last comment. You got me.
All right. Whatever, man. I've been setting you up. You've been knocking it down. You were about to bowl a 300. Bowled a 290.
299.
290, man. You guttered that last ball. Later, guys. We out.